A pilot refuses to fly with a single father co-pilot, calling him inexperienced and demanding his removal. She pressures him to ignore a safety issue to stay on schedule. But when he quietly pulls out his business card, her face turns pale. He's not just any co-pilot, he owns the entire airline. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Captain Rebecca Stone stood in the crew briefing room at Denver International Airport. She checked her watch. It was 6:15 a.m. Her flight to Seattle was scheduled to depart at 8 a.m. She had her tablet open, reviewing the weather reports and flight plan. Rebecca was 42 years old. She had been flying commercial jets for 18 years. She was proud of her career. She had worked hard to become a captain. She wore her uniform with pride, 4 gold stripes on each shoulder. The door opened. A man walked in. He looked to be in his mid-30s, tall, with short dark hair. He wore a first officer's uniform with 3 stripes on his shoulders. He carried a flight bag and a coffee cup. "Good morning, Captain," he said with a polite smile. "I'm Jake Morrison, your first officer for today." Rebecca looked up from her tablet. She nodded but did not smile back. "Rebecca Stone," she said. "Have you reviewed the flight plan?" "Yes, ma'am. I looked at it last night. Weather looks good. We should have a smooth flight." Rebecca studied him for a moment. Something about him seemed too relaxed, too casual. "How long have you been with the airline?" Rebecca asked. "About 6 months, Jake replied. Rebecca's expression changed. 6 months. That meant he was new. Very new. 6 months, she repeated slowly. "And before that?" "I flew cargo planes for a few years. Before that, I was in the military." "Military," Rebecca said, her tone flat. "Let me guess. You think that makes you special?" Jake's smile faded slightly. "No, ma'am. I just answered your question." Rebecca set her tablet down. "I've been flying for 18 years. I've been a captain for 9. I've flown through storms that would make grown men cry. I don't need a first officer who thinks his military experience makes him better than everyone else." Jake stood quiet for a moment. He set his coffee cup down on the table. "I never said I was better than anyone," he said calmly. "I'm here to do my job, follow procedures, and support you as captain. That's it." Rebecca picked up her tablet again. "We'll see about that. Let's get to the aircraft." They walked out to the aircraft together. It was a Boeing 737, gleaming white in the early morning sun. The ground crew was finishing the final fueling checks. Jake set his bag down near the boarding stairs and began his walk-around inspection. Rebecca watched him from a distance. She wanted to see how he handled the exterior inspection. New first officers often rushed through it or missed important details. Jake moved slowly around the aircraft. He checked the nose gear first, then the left wing. He ran his hand along the leading edge, checking for any damage. He crouched down to inspect the tires and landing gear. He checked the engine intake, looking for any foreign objects. Then he moved to the right side of the aircraft. When he reached the right main landing gear, he stopped. He crouched down and pulled out his phone. He took several photos of something under the wing. Rebecca walked over. "What is it?" Jake pointed to a small puddle of fluid on the ground beneath the landing gear. It was clear, slightly oily. "Hydraulic fluid," Jake said. "There's a small leak coming from this line." He pointed to a thin metal tube running along the landing gear strut. Rebecca looked at the puddle. It was small, maybe the size of a dinner plate. "That's nothing," she said. "Hydraulic systems leak all the time. It's normal wear and tear." Jake stood up. "I understand, but regulations say we need to log it and have maintenance inspect it before we fly." Rebecca's jaw tightened. I know what the regulations say. I've been doing this a lot longer than you have. That leak is minor. It won't affect the flight. Maybe not, Jake said, but if we fly with a known leak and something happens, we'll both lose our licenses. I need to log it. Rebecca stepped closer to him. Her voice dropped lower, more intense. Listen to me carefully. Our passengers are already boarding. We have a schedule to keep. If we delay this flight for something this small, it's going to reflect badly on both of us. The company doesn't like delays. Jake met her eyes. I'm logging it. That's my responsibility as first officer. Rebecca's face flushed with anger. Your responsibility is to follow my lead. I'm the captain. I make the final decisions on this aircraft. You're right, Jake said. You do make the final decisions. But I'm responsible for reporting safety issues. If you want to overrule me after I log it, that's your choice. But I'm following procedure. Rebecca stared at him. Who did this man think he was? 6 months with the airline and he was already questioning her judgment. Fine, she said coldly. Log it. But when maintenance clears it and we're delayed for nothing, I'm writing you up. Jake pulled out his phone and opened the airline's maintenance reporting app. He entered the details of the leak, attached the photos, and submitted the report. Within seconds, a notification appeared. Maintenance has been notified. Aircraft grounded pending inspection. Rebecca saw the notification. Her face went pale, then red. You just grounded our aircraft, she said, her voice shaking with anger. Do you have any idea what you've done? I reported a safety issue, Jake said calmly. That's what I'm supposed to do. Rebecca pulled out her own phone. She dialed a number and waited. This is Captain Stone. I need to speak with Chief Pilot Davis immediately. There was a pause. Then a man's voice came through. Rebecca, what's going on? We have a situation, Rebecca said. My first officer just grounded our aircraft over a tiny hydraulic leak. We have 150 passengers boarded and now we're delayed because he doesn't understand the difference between a real problem and routine maintenance. Jake stood nearby, listening. Put him on the phone, the chief pilot said. Rebecca held the phone out to Jake. He wants to talk to you. Jake took the phone. This is First Officer Morrison. Jake, it's Chief Pilot Davis. Tell me what you found. There's a hydraulic leak on the right main landing gear. Clear fluid, small puddle on the ground. I photographed it and logged it. It needs to be inspected before we fly. There was a pause. You did the right thing, Davis said. Don't let anyone pressure you into ignoring a safety issue. I'm sending a maintenance crew out right now. Yes, sir. Jake handed the phone back to Rebecca. Her face was bright red. What did he say? She demanded. He said I did the right thing, Jake replied quietly. 20 minutes later, a maintenance truck pulled up. 2 technicians climbed out. Jake met them at the landing gear and showed them the leak. The older technician crouched down and examined the hydraulic line. He touched the fluid with his gloved finger. This is fresh, he said. The line's got a crack in it. If you'd taken off with this, you would have lost hydraulic pressure during flight. Could have been real bad. Jake felt a cold chill. He had been right to log it. How long to fix it? Jake asked. An hour, maybe 2. We need to replace the line and test the system. Jake walked back to the aircraft. He climbed the stairs and entered the cabin. He walked to the cockpit. Rebecca was sitting in the captain's seat, arms crossed, staring straight ahead. Maintenance says it's a cracked line, Jake said. They need to replace it. It would have failed during flight. Rebecca didn't respond. She didn't even look at him. Jake sat down in the first officer's seat. The cockpit was silent. After a few minutes, Rebecca finally spoke. "I want you off this flight." Jake turned to look at her. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. I'm calling operations and requesting a different first officer. I will not fly with someone who undermines my authority." "I didn't undermine you," Jake said. "I followed safety procedures. You questioned my judgment. You made me look incompetent. Or did you make yourself look incompetent by trying to fly with a cracked hydraulic line?" Rebecca's eyes flashed with anger. She grabbed her phone and dialed. "This is Captain Stone. I need a replacement first officer immediately. I refuse to fly with Jake Morrison." Jake could hear a voice on the other end. "I don't care if we're short-staffed," Rebecca said. "I will not fly with this man. He's insubordinate and disrespectful." More words from the other end. "Then I'm not flying," Rebecca said. "You can find another captain." She ended the call and stood up. She grabbed her flight bag and headed for the cockpit door. "Where are you going?" Jake asked. "I'm getting off this aircraft. They can delay the flight. They can cancel it. I don't care." She disappeared down the stairs. Jake sat alone in the cockpit. His phone buzzed. A text from Chief Pilot Davis. "Stay where you are. I'm handling this." 10 minutes later, Chief Pilot Davis appeared at the cockpit door. He was a tall man in his late 50s with gray hair. "Jake," he said. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine, sir. Just confused." Davis sat down in the captain's seat. "Rebecca called me. She demanded that you be removed from this flight." Jake nodded. "I reported a hydraulic leak. She wanted to fly anyway. I refused." "I know," Davis said. "Maintenance confirmed it was a serious issue. You did the right thing." Before Davis could say more, Rebecca appeared at the cockpit door again. Her face was still red. "I'm back to get my tablet," she said coldly. Davis stood up. "Rebecca, we need to talk. I have nothing to say. I'm resigning effective immediately." Rebecca grabbed her tablet. "There's nothing to discuss. I was right, he was wrong, and you took his side." Jake stood up. "Captain Stone, the maintenance crew confirmed the hydraulic line was cracked. If we had flown, we would have had a serious emergency." Rebecca turned to him. Her eyes were filled with anger. "I don't care what maintenance said. You're new. You don't have the experience to make that judgment." "Experience doesn't matter if you're wrong," Jake said quietly. Rebecca's face twisted with fury. "Who do you think you are? You've been with this airline for 6 months. 6 months. I've been here for 18 years. Jake reached into his pocket. He pulled out his wallet and removed a card. He handed it to Rebecca. She looked down at it. Her face went pale. It was a business card. Jake Morrison, co-founder and vice president of operations, Skybridge Airlines. Rebecca's hand started shaking. She looked from the card to Jake's face. What is this?" she whispered. "I'm one of the people who started this airline," Jake said. 5 years ago, my business partner and I bought 3 used aircraft and started flying regional routes. 2 years ago, we merged with a larger carrier. That's when you came on board." Rebecca's mouth opened, but no words came out. "I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how you would treat me as a regular first officer," Jake continued. "I fly the line once a month to stay current and to understand what our pilots deal with. Today, I learned we have a problem." Davis stepped forward. Jake wanted to experience what it's like for new pilots. Only a few people in management knew. Rebecca looked like she might faint. I didn't know." "That's the point," Jake said. "You didn't know. And because you didn't know, you treated me like I was beneath you. You tried to pressure me into ignoring a safety issue. You demanded I be removed from the flight. Rebecca's face went from pale to red. I was testing you. I wanted to see if you would stand up for safety. Jake shook his head. No. You weren't testing me. You were trying to prove you were in charge. And when I didn't back down, you tried to get me fired. Tears formed in Rebecca's eyes. What happens now? Davis spoke. Rebecca, you're being placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. You're grounding me, Rebecca said, her voice breaking. We're giving you time to reflect, Davis said. Rebecca looked at Jake one more time. There was fear in her eyes now. I never meant for anyone to get hurt, she said softly. I believe you, Jake said. But intent doesn't matter in aviation. Only actions matter. And your actions today could have killed everyone on this plane. Rebecca turned and walked away. Over the next 2 weeks, the airline investigated Rebecca's conduct. They interviewed every first officer who had flown with her in the past year. Of the 12 first officers interviewed, 9 reported similar experiences. Rebecca had been dismissive of their concerns. She had pressured them to cut corners on safety checks. In several cases, she had threatened to have them removed from flights if they questioned her. The investigation also revealed personal issues. Rebecca's marriage had ended 8 months ago. She had been struggling financially. She had been dealing with chronic pain from a back injury. None of these issues excused her behavior, but they helped explain it. Rebecca had once been known for her professionalism. But stress and pain had changed her. Jake was part of the discussions about what to do. What do you think we should do? Davis asked. Jake thought carefully. I think we need to be fair but firm. What she did was wrong. She put passengers at risk. But I also think people deserve a chance to change. What would that look like? Suspension without pay for 6 months, Jake said. Mandatory counseling, medical evaluation. And when she comes back, she starts as a first officer, not a captain. She has to rebuild trust. The decision was made. Rebecca would be offered the chance to return under those conditions. Rebecca sat in her apartment, staring at the letter from the airline. She had expected to be fired. But this offer was something she hadn't anticipated. 6 months without pay would be brutal. She was already struggling financially. And starting over as a first officer felt like humiliation. But the alternative was worse. If she walked away, she would never fly commercially again. Her career would be over. She picked up her phone and called the number on the letter. This is Rebecca Stone. I received the letter about my suspension. Yes, Miss Stone. Have you made a decision? Rebecca took a deep breath. I accept the terms. I'll do the counseling. I'll do the medical evaluation. And I'll come back as a first officer. Very good. Welcome back, Rebecca. Rebecca set the phone down. The sun was setting outside her window. She thought about Jake Morrison. He had been right. The hydraulic line was cracked. If they had flown, people could have died. She had let her pride cloud her judgment. She had almost destroyed everything she had worked for. But now she had a chance to make things right. Jake stood in the crew briefing room at Denver Airport. It was early morning. He was scheduled to fly to Portland. His monthly line flight. The door opened. A woman walked in wearing a first officer's uniform with 3 stripes. She had her hair pulled back, her face calm. It was Rebecca Stone. Good morning, Captain Morrison, Rebecca said quietly. Good morning, First Officer Stone, Jake replied. They sat down at the table. Rebecca pulled out her tablet and opened the flight plan. I've reviewed everything, she said. Weather looks good. They walked out to the aircraft together. Rebecca began her walk-around inspection while Jake headed to the cockpit. He watched through the window as she moved around the aircraft. She was thorough, methodical, taking her time. When she climbed into the cockpit, she looked different than 6 months ago. The anger was gone. The defensiveness was gone. "Everything looks good," Rebecca said. "No issues found." "Good," Jake said. "Let's run through the checklists." They worked together smoothly. Rebecca called out each item clearly and waited for Jake's response. As they prepared for departure, Jake made a decision. "First Officer Stone," he said, "would you like to fly this leg?" Rebecca looked at him, surprise in her eyes. "Sir. I'm offering you the controls." Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "Yes, sir. I would be honored." They taxied to the runway. Rebecca's hands were steady on the controls. When they received clearance, she advanced the throttle smoothly. The aircraft lifted off and climbed into the morning sky. Her flying was beautiful. Smooth, precise, confident but not arrogant. At cruising altitude, Jake spoke. "You've changed," he said. Rebecca nodded. "I had to. The last 6 months were the hardest of my life. The counseling, the medical treatment, the financial struggle. But I needed all of it. I needed to face what I'd become." "And what had you become?" "Someone who put pride ahead of safety," Rebecca said softly. "Someone who treated people beneath me instead of beside me." "You also became a captain," Jake said. "That took skill." "It did. But skill isn't enough. You also need humility. You need to listen. You need to remember that everyone on the crew is part of the same team." They flew in comfortable silence. "Can I ask you something?" Rebecca said. "Of course. Why did you give me a second chance?" Jake thought about the question. "Because I've made mistakes too. Someone gave me a second chance when I needed it. I figured I should pay that forward." "Thank you," Rebecca said. "I won't waste it." They landed in Portland smoothly. As they taxied to the gate, Jake made a decision. "First Officer Stone, effective immediately, I'm recommending you for upgrade back to captain." Rebecca's head snapped toward him. "Sir. You've completed your 6 months. You've done everything we asked. And today, you've shown me that you've truly changed." Tears formed in Rebecca's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep flying the way you flew today. With humility and respect." "I will, sir. I promise." 3 months later, Rebecca Stone walked into the crew briefing room wearing her captain's uniform once again. 4 gold stripes on each shoulder. But this time, they meant something different. Her first officer was a young woman named Lisa Chin, fresh out of flight training. Lisa looked nervous. "Good morning," Rebecca said with a warm smile. "I'm Captain Stone. You must be First Officer Chin." "Yes, ma'am. It's my first commercial flight. I'm nervous." Rebecca sat down across from her. "Being nervous is good. It means you're taking this seriously. But you earned your seat. You have the training. Now trust yourself and follow procedures." "Yes, ma'am." "And one more thing," Rebecca said. "If you see something wrong, anything, no matter how small, you tell me immediately. I don't care if we're running late. Safety always comes first. Always. Understand?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Now let's go fly." They walked out to the aircraft. Rebecca watched as Lisa began her inspection. Halfway through, Lisa stopped at the left engine. She crouched down and pulled out her phone to take a photo. Rebecca walked over. "What did you find?" "There's a small dent on the engine cowling. It's probably nothing, but I wanted to document it." Rebecca looked at the dent. It was tiny, barely noticeable. "Good eye," Rebecca said. "Let's log it and have maintenance take a look." Lisa looked relieved. "You're not upset about the delay?" "Upset?" Rebecca smiled. "I'm proud of you. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. Never apologize for being thorough." They logged the issue. Maintenance inspected it and cleared it as superficial. The delay was only 15 minutes. As they completed pre-flight checks, Lisa spoke up. "Captain Stone, how long have you been flying?" "Almost 19 years now," Rebecca said. "And do you still get nervous?" Rebecca thought about the question. "Sometimes, but not the way I used to. I don't get nervous about proving myself anymore. I already know what I'm capable of." "When did that change?" "When I stopped seeing flying as something I had to conquer and started seeing it as something I get to do. That shift changed everything." They pushed back from the gate and took off into clear blue skies. Rebecca felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. 2 years later, Jake Morrison stood at his daughter Emily's bedside. She was 9 years old now, sleeping peacefully with her favorite stuffed elephant. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "I love you, sweetheart." His phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca Stone. "Captain Morrison, thank you again for everything. You changed my life. I will never forget that." Jake smiled and typed back. "You changed your own life, Rebecca. I just opened a door. Keep flying safe." Another text came. "I will. Always. Good night, sir." "Good night, Captain Stone." Jake set his phone down and looked out the window. Stars scattered across the night sky. Somewhere up there, aircraft were flying, pilots were navigating, passengers were traveling. And somewhere in that vast sky, the culture he had worked to build was thriving. Pilots were following procedures. First officers were speaking up. Captains were listening. Safety was paramount. He thought about that morning 2 years ago when he had walked into the briefing room as just another first officer, and encountered a captain who had lost her way. If he had handled it differently, if he had simply fired Rebecca, would they be where they were today? Would they have had the conversations about culture and accountability? Probably not. Sometimes the hardest moments created the greatest opportunities for growth. Jake's phone buzzed again. A text from a new pilot graduate. "Captain Morrison, I start my first official flight next week. I'm nervous but excited. I promise I'll make you proud." Jake smiled and typed back. "You already have. Fly safe." He set his phone down. Tomorrow he would wake up early, drive to the airport, and fly another route. He would check every system, follow every procedure, and treat every crew member with respect. Because that was what good pilots did. And Jake Morrison was determined to be one of the good ones. Every single day. 3 years had passed since that fateful morning at Denver International Airport. The airline industry had changed, but Skybridge Airlines had grown stronger. They now operated a fleet of 42 aircraft, employed over 300 pilots, and had become known throughout the industry for their exceptional safety record and positive workplace culture. Jake stood in the main conference room at headquarters. The room was filled with captains, first officers, maintenance crews, and management staff. Today was the annual Safety Award ceremony, and Jake had something important to announce. 3 years ago, Jake began, addressing the crowd, "We faced a crisis that could have destroyed us. We discovered that our culture wasn't as strong as we thought. We learned that even experienced professionals can lose their way when personal struggles overwhelm them." He paused, looking around the room. Many faces were familiar. Some were new. "Today, I'm proud to announce a new initiative. We're launching the Skybridge Pilot Wellness Program. This program will provide free counseling, financial planning assistance, and health support to all our pilots. Because we've learned that taking care of our people isn't just the right thing to do, it's essential for safety. The room erupted in applause. Jake stepped aside as Rebecca Stone walked to the podium. She was now the director of pilot training, a position she had earned through 3 years of exceptional work. When Captain Morrison gave me a second chance, Rebecca said, her voice steady and clear, I didn't just get my career back. I got my life back. The wellness program we're launching today exists because of my failures. And I'm grateful that my mistakes can now help others avoid the same path. She looked directly at the audience. If you're struggling, with finances, with health, with family issues, with anything, please use these resources. Asking for help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And it might save your life, or the lives of your passengers. After the ceremony, Jake walked through the training facility. He passed the flight simulators where new pilots were practicing emergency procedures. He passed classrooms where instructors were teaching weather theory and aircraft systems. In one classroom, he stopped and looked through the window. A young instructor was teaching a group of student pilots. The instructor was David Park, the graduate who had promised his deceased mother he would be one of the good ones. David had proven himself to be an exceptional pilot and an even better teacher. Jake's phone rang. It was his daughter Emily, now 12 years old. Dad, are you coming to my soccer game tonight? Wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetheart. What time does it start? 6 o'clock. And Dad? My coach said college scouts might be there. Jake smiled. Then you better bring your A game. I always do. You taught me that. After hanging up, Jake thought about how much his life had changed. Being a single father and running an airline had never been easy. There were days when he felt stretched too thin, days when he wondered if he was doing right by Emily. But then he remembered what his wife had told him before she passed away. Jake, our daughter needs to see you being true to yourself. Show her what integrity looks like. Show her that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard. That's what he had tried to do. With Rebecca, with the airline, with every decision he made. He walked to his office and found Lisa Chin waiting outside. She was now a captain herself, one of the youngest in the airline's history. Captain Morrison, do you have a minute? Lisa asked. Of course. Come in. They sat down in his office. Lisa looked nervous. I wanted to talk to you about something, she said. I've been offered a position with a major international carrier. Better pay, bigger aircraft, more prestige. Jake nodded. Congratulations. That's a tremendous opportunity. But I'm not sure I want to take it, Lisa continued. I've learned more here in 3 years than I could learn anywhere else in 10. The culture, the mentorship, the way we prioritize safety over everything else, I don't want to lose that. Jake leaned back in his chair. Lisa, I'm going to tell you what someone once told me. Don't make decisions based on fear of losing something. Make decisions based on what will help you grow. If that international carrier is where you need to go to become the best pilot you can be, then go. We'll miss you, but we'll also be proud of you. Lisa thought about it. And if I stay? Then we'll be equally proud. Because staying isn't the easy choice either. It means taking on more responsibility, more leadership, more mentoring of younger pilots. Either way, you're choosing a difficult path. The question is, which difficult path is right for you? Lisa smiled. You know what? I think I need to stay. Because 3 years ago, Captain Stone took the time to teach me what real leadership looks like. And now I want to do the same for the next generation. Then welcome to the leadership team, Jake said, shaking her hand. After Lisa left, Jake sat alone in his office. The sun was setting outside his window, casting golden light across the airport tarmac. He could see aircraft taking off and landing, each one carrying people to their destinations, each one piloted by professionals who understood that safety was sacred. His mind drifted back to that morning with Rebecca. The confrontation, the anger, the moment when he revealed who he was. He could have handled it differently. He could have simply fired her and moved on. But he had chosen the harder path. The path of redemption, of second chances, of believing that people could change. And that choice had rippled outward in ways he never could have imagined. Rebecca's transformation had inspired the wellness program. The wellness program had helped dozens of pilots get the support they needed. Those pilots had gone on to mentor others, creating a culture where asking for help was normalized, where admitting mistakes was respected, where growth was valued more than perfection. Jake's phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Just finished teaching a class on crew resource management. Had a student ask about the importance of speaking up when you see a safety issue. Told them your story, still learning from you after all these years. Jake typed back. Still learning from you too, Rebecca. That's the beauty of this profession. We never stop learning. He gathered his things and headed out. Emily's soccer game started in an hour, and he had promised he wouldn't be late. As he drove through the city toward the soccer fields, he thought about all the pilots currently in the air. Thousands of them, flying millions of passengers, each one responsible for precious lives. Most of them would never be famous. Most would never make headlines. They would simply show up every day, follow procedures, make careful decisions, and bring people home safely. They were the quiet heroes of aviation. The ones who understood that being a good pilot wasn't about ego or glory. It was about humility, discipline, and the unwavering commitment to do things right. Jake Morrison had built an airline to celebrate those pilots. To give them a place where their professionalism was valued, their concerns were heard, and their dedication was rewarded. And as he pulled into the parking lot at the soccer field and saw Emily warming up with her team, he knew he had made the right choices. Not just in business, but in life. Because at the end of every day, what mattered wasn't how many aircraft you owned or how many routes you flew. What mattered was being there for the people who counted on you. Being honest when it was hard, being fair when it was complicated, being kind when it was easier to be harsh. That was the legacy he wanted to leave. Not just for his airline, but for his daughter. Emily saw him and waved. He waved back, smiling. Tomorrow he would fly again. But tonight, he was exactly where he needed to be.